Hey everybody, we're talking Bob here. Back in Neo Scavenger. I just tried to record a new video in Star Citizen, and the lag was so bad that I couldn't play it. So, obviously, moving out here, I've got some issues I'm gonna have to work out on my bandwidth. My internet went from cable to DSL. So it's a whole thing. So for right now, I'm just gonna be making videos that aren't in online games, and so we're just gonna continue Neo Scavenger. Let's see. Last time we were last time we circled ZomZoms here. So we're gonna start off this time by moving into ZomZoms. As the source of the distant sounds finally comes into view, you stop in your tracks, unsure whether it's safe to continue. Ahead, you see a titanic warehouse like one of those distribution centers from before the apocalypse. There's a dull roar of ethanol generators combined with the occasional rev of unsuppressed exhaust from off-road vehicles. Figures seem to be milling around a low extension on the right, and the occasional ATV arrives or departs without fanfare. You don't think you've been spotted yet this far out, though with all the activity it's hard to tell. So, let's see, we can approach, we can leave, or we can use our scopes to reconnoiter. I think it's supposed to be, say, reconnaissance. Let's take a look. Peering into the distance, you see a bright sign reading ZomZom's place to eat. Okay. Then you see it, a truck on the other side of floating prisoners or slaves of some sort. Offloading prisoners or slaves of some sort. That doesn't bode well. But then again, people come and go freely everywhere else and are entering voluntarily through the pedway. Okay. Oh, I thought that first part was just repeating, but it's not. Peering into the distance, you see a bright sign reading ZomZom's a place to eat, hanging over a giant garage door, fenced off behind a tarp and barbed wire. Bright lights, welding arcs, and peculiar shadows can be seen in the fenced area, and more lights from within the warehouse. A semi-trailer attached to one of the loading bays acts as a makeshift gate and pedway into the warehouse. Ragged-looking figures line up along the trailer, watched over by armed mercenaries. It looks more like a club than anything else, except for that tarp area. And then the part I read, then you see it, the slave truck. Alright, so we're going to approach. Let's see. While in line, you feel a flutter of anxiety each time the line advances. With each step, you try to catch a glance of what's through the doorway in the trailer, but you still can't tell. Most of the people in line are ragtag looking, wearing mismatched clothes, and stinking of sweat. Some confused, others bored. The guards are better groomed by comparison, though you suspect they'd just as soon murder you for your clothes if they weren't being paid. Up a few wooden plank steps, you step inside the semi-trailer, and hollow sounds of a crowd echo down the narrow corridor from the warehouse. To your right is a chipboard and mesh booth where an attendant is collecting fees and weapons and stamping people before they walk down the trailer into the warehouse. Stock or spectator, the attendant drones, looking disinterestedly past you. So we can either reply spectator or stock or huh. So let's go with huh, because what the hell's going on? Never mind, she exhales, stamping your hand with a symbol and number and nods to another grizzly merc who checks you for weapons. You receive a chit for your confiscated items and are ushered down the trailer. You hear the man behind you answer spectator to the attendant before passing into a wall of sound inside the warehouse proper. Inside, it is one part Super Club, one part Gladiator Pit. A wall of sound assaults your ears as you cross the threshold, part human cacophony, part generator exhaust, mostly frantic industrial music, and the smell of food and smoke. You can't hear it over the noise, but you can feel your stomach rumble at the smell of sweet barbecue. Cavernous warehouse is dominated by a dirt-floored arena with high mesh walls. Spectators ring the pit on three sides, the fourth reserved for a large garage door leading outside into the tarped fence area courtyard. Beyond the door, you catch the flash of welding arcs where it appears the scrap yard robots are being prepared. And opposite the garage door, the thing you really care about right now, a wide booth with grills spewing sweet and spicy smoke into the rafters above. People clamor to get at it and walk away with their prize smeared over hands and lips alike. Barbecue. Be interesting to know where they get the meat for barbecue. You wade through dirty patrons intent on manhandling some ribs or beans and rice or whatever it is they've got cooking over there. Who knows how long you've been in cryo? How long it's been since you've had a hot meal? Pressing your way through the final wall of hungry patrons, you get an elbow on the counter and desperately try to make eye contact with one of the servers. A few eternal minutes later, one of the apron-clad food slingers glances at you and you nod like an excited dog. He reaches into a smoker box, withdraws a loaded skewer, and places it in your hand. Sweet, succulent barbecue. Savoring it at first, you start to grow paranoid that it'll be snatched from your hands, and you bear down on it with renewed fervor, huddling with it against your lips as you absently walk away from the grill. This meat. It's like good, fully developed veal. Not young, but not yet beef. Yes, very definitely like that, and not like any other meat you've ever tasted. In fact, so much so that you think no person with a palate of ordinary, normal sensitiveness could distinguish it from veal. It is mild, good meat, with no other sharply defined or highly characteristic tastes, such as, for instance, goat, high game, and pork calf. The steak is slightly tougher than prime veal, a little stringy, but not too tough or stringy to be agreeably edible. The roast is tender, and in color, texture, smell, as well as taste, strengthens your certainty that of all the meats you habitually know, veal is the one meat to which this meat is accurately comparable. Sorry. Just then, an announcer pipes up. With that same oscillating voice every strip club DJ seems to have, he starts hyping the crowd. Can you count, suckers? He shouts. Patrons start yelling back. I said, can you count, suckers? On cue, a testosterone-fueled wave of shouts come from the floor. Raise those numbers, he calls with expectation, and everybody raises their fists in unison. The music changes, lights switch to UV, and numbers appear on all the stamped hands. Your heart starts to race as you realize what's happening. Looking around, everyone has a stamp, but most of them don't look like yours. Everyone has numbers, but it's clear now what the symbols are. Most patrons have silhouettes of vultures next to their numbers. You look down at your hand. Yours is a lamb. The announcer calls a number, a low number. You feel a bit nauseous, but also relieved. You raise your hand, nearby patrons look suddenly, then quickly lose interest in it. A scream of protest erupts from the far side of the arena. Everyone nearby looks across, where a commotion is starting. A man is hoisted into the air like a crowd surfer at a concert and propelled into the arena gate. Patrons claw the remainder of his barbecue from his flailing hands, fighting over it like dogs. Guards wrangle the struggling man and toss him onto the dirt floor in the arena as the gate is sealed behind him. The winner is a filthy, weak, and confused-looking human. As he clambers to his feet, a clanking and squeaking sound crescendos from the opposite side of the arena. Cheers start erupting throughout the warehouse as the source of the noise rolls into the arena through the garage door. The bot is little more than a heavy, treaded ring of barbed spikes. A haphazardly hung LED ticker sits atop its mast, flickering the words Morning Star, confirming your suspicion as to its nature. Without pausing, the bot starts closing in on the human who, to his credit, has given up rattling the cage and is now facing the more immediate danger. He starts circling left, leading the bot to one side of the pit. then dashes right as fast as he can, bypassing the bot. The move buys him a few seconds as the bot spins in place on its treads, but he ends up in the same situation on the reverse side of the arena. This continues for a few laps, with the human visibly wearing down. Perhaps realizing his error, he switches tactics and leads the robot towards the support column, and allows it to get close enough before ducking around behind it. The bot starts turning in place, but the treads get hooked on the pillar, and for a moment it appears to be stuck. You can sense the tingle of hope in the man as he watches the bot rock to and fro for several seconds. However, the bot's rocking eventually frees it, and it turns to face him again. Crestfallen, the man returns to the original strategy of dodging the robot like a bullfighter, ever more slowly each pass. It doesn't take long for the robot to wear down his already weakened prey, and it scores its first hit, trampling his leg under treads. The man's cry of pain is lost in a wave of cheering from the crowd as the robot backs up. The man hardly has time to limp before it rams him again, this time following through and impaling him against the wall. Drunk with bloodlust, the crowd is now screaming. As the robot backs away once more from the stumbling, bleeding man, the bot rams him into the wall one more time and backs away, this time with the human stuck on its spikes. The crowd cries out in ecstasy, which eventually simmers down to a rabble as the arena service personnel remove the entrails. Your mouth agape, you suddenly feel a wave of nausea. You begin looking around, panicked. But now we've got some choices to make. We can rub off the stamp, we can try to leave, or we can see what happens next. And because I'm pretty confident in our abilities, I'm going to just chill out and see what happens next. Unsure what to do next, you look around the room anxiously, waiting for something to happen. Word is you've got a good medical plan. The voice startles you, even amidst the shouting crowd, and you turn to find a young man with an old face. He looks to be of Asian descent, with hair like a mop, big aviator glasses, and probably white fur coat. Relax, I don't work here. In fact, I'm going to try to make sure you don't either. Come on. He turns and heads towards the garage door. Since that's away from the arena's human-sized gate, you decide to follow. You get the sense he's a patron, too, or at least not with the management, as neither guard nor patron seems to pay him much attention. A little bird told me, he shouts over the crowd and music, you might know a thing or two about cryogenics. He talks over his shoulder as he walks, as if tossing words your way. I know a guy who's looking for some heavy-duty cooling units. He may be willing to trade for some info on where to score a few. You arrive at the massive garage door, and the cool air seems tinged with ozone. His name's the Stoat. Come on, dude, I'll introduce you. Out in the robot prep yard, mechanics are tending to their creations. Your companion stops alongside a tall robot reminiscent of a farm combine. You shudder to think what it does to a human with those blades, but then something inside moves. Crawling out the feeder house behind the blades is a mechanic who looks around satisfied, weighs another out. The second looks more like one of the patrons than a mechanic, starved and scared. The pair skulk along the fence line and disappear out of sight. Fur coat guy turns back to you with a proud yet devious grin on his face. The Stoat is pleased to make your acquaintance. Now about that medical plan, he suggestively taps his wrist. So now we got some questions. We can give him our bracelet. We can just give him the info, or we can ask him about that trade. So we're going to say about that trade. Oh, a counteroffer, Stoat says, stroking his chin. Okay, tell you what, he snaps into action. I got a thing. Someplace that needs certain items liberated, he makes air quotes. You trade the bracelet, I'll let you in on the haul. Here's what's up. Camp Grayling, you heard of it, right? Big old military base somewhere in Michigan? No? Guess you had to be in certain circles. He flicks something inside something invisible from his coat. All sorts of rumors about the place. The one thing that's sure, it's full of tech and no one to tinker with it. Meanwhile, he knocks the combine bot, producing a hollow ring. Sucks, right? Your part is simple. He places a hand on your shoulder. Maybe you've seen a bot around here. Tall, tin fellow, 6 legs, mauling some guy. That's the one. Well, whatever he came from, there's gotta be more. And if I'm doing this with farm machinery, imagine what I could do with old Spidey maulers. He pantomimes an explosion while puffing up his cheeks. But, Stoat waves a finger at nothing. I don't expect you to pilot these babies out of there. What I need you to do is get inside the base and bring back everything you can find on them. Schematics, blueprints, test data, the more the better. Be warned, it's Death Machine nests. You think these are brutal? Stoat gestures around the prep yard. Drunk angry teenagers compared to trained assassins. In return, he says, scratching his chin, I'm thinking the power structure will be shifting a bit around here, and the new one will be of the IOU variety. He points at your chest. So, deal of a lifetime, dude. Sounds pretty good to me. Nice, he laughs. He extends a hand, you meet it with yours. Okay, like I said, it's a death machine nest, but I've got some goodies for that. Let's say an advance payment or a signing bonus, either way. Step 1, he says, counting it out with a finger. That bracelet. Still needs me some cryo goodness after all. Alright, give him the bracelet. We've already learned our name, and that was the only thing on there, so... You snap the printed bracelet from your wrist and hand it to him. He slides it through his fingers, reading the lettering on the strap. Nice, dude, he bobs his head. I may have to do an expedition there. And, nice name, ha! He starts unlatching a flight case near the combine bot. An array of electronics parts and gadgets fill the case, and he tosses the bracelet inside. Scanning his hand across the range of parts, he selects one, then closes the case again. Here, he hands you an orange box with screws mounted on it. Insurance for when you get there. Hold on to it. Alright. So we got this small orange box with screws, mounts, and a makeshift power cell. A label on it reads Stansted Automated. So this is a key item. Confirm. As for me, I may have to check into your fancy clinic soon. I think I'm coming down with a little something. He fake coughs and clears his throat, grinning. Step 2, get inside. The goodish baddish news is that your new toy will help, but you'll likely need to supplement with tricks of your own. Nobody's come back from there, though rumor has it some protesters managed to embarrass the brass at Grayling back in the day. You probably have to rummage through some old newspaper stories to verify that, though. Okay. So it's flash drive for use as Camp Grayling, so we need that too. Anyway, that's step 2, figuring out how to get in. Step 3, find schematics. Somewhere convenient for personnel to get to day and night. Step 4, test data. Download it off the control tower using this. He hands you a small flash drive. Plug and play. Easy. Step 5, bring it all to me. Got it? He looks over your shoulder. Oh, also, you'll probably want these back. You turn and see a familiar face from the front gate. He drops a lockbox with your checked items. Casts a glance back at the Stoat and he shrugs. What? I can't do this alone. Your safest bet is to go along the fence where they went. He thumbs over his shoulder, indicating the route the mechanic and the patron followed. Unless you're still hungry. He laughs, making a vomiting motion. See you around, dude, he calls over his shoulder, walking back to the warehouse. Stoat friend waits as you gather your things from the lockbox. Better make sure you empty that locker while you have the chance. Once ready, you head along the fence and return to the wasteland towards a higher measure of normality. Alright. Okay. So we need to empty out. Can we just take the lockbox? Oh, that's awesome. That is cool. Player's carrying too much weight, none of it'll move. Oh man, that sucks. Alright, empty it out. Right there. So you take this off. Boom. Grab my bullets, put them there. Alrighty, we need to make some room. We need somewhere to put this. Because we need to be able to carry our crowbar. Oh, you know what? We can do that and that. Where'd it go? There we go. Like that. And we can put that there. And now we just need somewhere for the foil. Huh. You know what? It's pretty easy to come across shards of glass, so we'll just drop that and grab these. Okay. Alright, and we can't forget our fur coat. Because it's cold without it. You see that? Cold. We need our fur coat. Okay.